Tulsi decided that she wanted to embrace, shout out to Annie Marie, I'm going to read that super chat shortly. Tulsi said that she wanted to switch sides. So many people are mad with her on the blue side. I think that Tulsi is probably one of the most intelligent women in politics today. And she got that storm. She got that storm streak in her hair. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me play the speech for y'all, and then we're going to add more context as far as why she decided to endorse Trump for president.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Aloha. I know we got Hawaii in the house here. There we go. It is a privilege to be here with all of you, my brothers and sisters in uniform, especially on this day of all days. I had the privilege of joining President Trump this morning at Arlington Cemetery.
Oh, the rogue look, my bad, the rogue
where
look.
He joined 2 Gold Star families and loved ones of Staff Sergeant Hoover and Sergeant G.
Thank you for the super chat.
Both of whom were 2 of the 13 killed in the Abbey Gate attack 3 years ago today in Kabul.
And she's intelligent.
And I can tell you, as we were there, as he laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, joining these Marines' loved ones, I felt the sorrow that he shared with them in their loss. I felt and saw his sincere appreciation for these servicemen and women who paid the ultimate price and their loved ones who continue to grieve to this day. This is personal for me, as I know it is for so many of you here. This is real. It's not just words. I first deployed to Iraq in 2005 with the Hawaii Army National Guard as a member of Charlie.
Look at how she said Hawaii. Hey, when you like somebody, when somebody is nice, you find every reason of why they're doing something right, don't you? Look at the way that she says Hawaii. Oh.
As those of you who were deployed during that time know, it was the height of the war, and sadly, we took many casualties. And every day we were confronted with that high human cost of war and that sadness as we boarded the plane when we left, that we were leaving some of our brothers and sisters behind, only to lose others when we got home to suicide. So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before.
I was saying this yesterday, right? And I think the clip wound up dropping when we was doing the show last night. But I was saying this yesterday, and I was saying, sometimes we can't appreciate what we had until we're no longer in it. And the fact that we are involved in so many different proxy wars, and we're on the brink of war with so many nations in such a short period of time, is crazy to me. Like, have y'all really noticed and took into consideration that over the last 3.5 years, we basically inserted ourselves into so many different altercations and playing God, and meanwhile, like the things that we could be involved in, that we could help eradicate, like over in Sudan, nobody talks about what happens over in Sudan. No longer is anybody talking about what's happening over in Haiti. Haiti, roughshod. Sudan, nobody pays attention to it. One of the biggest genocides that's happening on the face of this earth because people are not familiar with international relations. And it's not popular to talk about it on these networks. I broke it down on one of my Millionaire Morning shows. We are basically involved in so many different things that we don't even need to be involved in today. It's insane. This was not happening 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. This was not happening. We were literally in negotiations with Putin, Kim Jong-un. We don't even acknowledge North Korea except for to say, hey, listen, look at that little over there. We don't even like that. He was literally shaking hands and having conversations with Kim Jong-un. And we genuinely were more focused on what's happening in the United States of America and how we can prosper here versus participating in all of these proxy wars in order to profit in ways that we don't even know of because we're not even familiar with the real agenda is. We had unprecedented peace at that time. People was coming home. More people was probably signing up for the military because they wasn't afraid of going to war at that time.
This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief. Because I am confident that his first task will be to do the work to walk us back from the brink of war. We cannot be prosperous unless we are at peace. And we can't live free as long as we have a government that is retaliating against its political opponents and undermining our civil liberties, weaponizing our very institutions against those they deem as a threat. Kamala Harris has done this over the last 3.5 years. She won't hesitate to continue that if she is elected as president. President Trump has been their first and foremost target in this because they don't want us as voters to even have the option to vote for him.
Called election interference, and that's how they started to influence. And we're going to go into that, as you can see at the bottom of the screen where it says that Mark Zuckerberg admits pressure from the Biden-Harris administration on, in a way, manipulating what's going on in the election. But we're going to get to that. We're going to deep dive into that.
I've been their most recent target, added to a secret domestic terror watch list after exposing the truth about what kind of dangers we would face if Kamala Harris is elected as president.
Y'all don't, it's amazing to me how people think that, and they look at the presentation layer and they say, oh my God, you know, Kamala Harris. And they don't think that this woman is basically pulling strings behind the scenes of what is going on in this. Y'all think that, okay. This reminds me of the conversation from last night. Y'all think that she was just chilling in the White House for the last 3.5 years and nothing was going on? Let me guess. Y'all think that Sleepy Joe was walking around making all the decisions and determining what was happening in our country? So she was just sitting back with her feet up, kicking it, talking to Doug. Hey, Dougie. What do y'all think? What do y'all think that they've been doing over this last 3.5 years? While Tulsi was getting added to the terror watch list and Andre Diggins and Fannie Willis was going up there to meet inside of the White House where it says they met with the vice president. What do y'all think that they was just doing? I think y'all was just hanging out, Oval Office, having lunch, planting flowers, meeting with the alphabet community and all of these people in order to have a celebration on the White House lawn? Jesus Christ.
We as Americans must stand together to reject this anti-freedom culture of political retaliation and abuse of power. We can't allow our country to be destroyed by politicians who will put their own power ahead of the interests of the American people, our freedom, and our future. I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, if you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people.
And people are mad at that. They are mad at rogue-looking Tulsi because she first obliterated Kamala Harris in 2019 and absolutely dashed her hopes in ever becoming president of the United States of America until they gave her to us as a DEI hire. And now she's switching sides and she's saying, listen, I don't care about party politics. I only care about who's best as president of the United States of America and why we should vote for them. Here's some more context as she showed up on Fox News to have a conversation with them about why she endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Joining us now is Tulsi Gabbard, former 2020 Democrat presidential candidate and Fox News contributor. Tulsi, you were there today along with President Trump. How important was it for him to be there today?
You know, one thing that ran through my mind as I was there, joining President Trump and honoring the ultimate sacrifice that these 13 service members paid, sharing the sorrow that these Gold Star families still feel and will always feel at the loss of their loved ones. Meanwhile, where is Kamala Harris? Where is Joe Biden? Well, Joe Biden's on vacation, and Kamala Harris is running a campaign based on joy and vibes and laughing her way around. I can tell you who wasn't laughing were those families, some of the survivors of that attack in this disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. This is personal for me, Judge, and so many other Americans who know firsthand the cost of war. We've seen and experienced it firsthand. We know how important it is to have a commander-in-chief who values every single one of our lives and who has the strength and the courage to exercise all means of diplomacy, meeting with dictators, allies, adversaries, partners in the pursuit of peace, recognizing that war is always and should always be a last resort. I endorse President Trump today because he has those qualities and he's proven that he is that commander-in-chief. Kamala Harris has proven she is not. We're closer to the brink of nuclear war now than ever before, closer to World War III because of Harris and Biden and their policies.
Let me ask y'all a question. I see my dog, Eric Daniels, and Aaron and all of them. I see all of these people feeling some type of way about it because if she'd endorsed Kamala Harris, y'all would have been celebrating it, but she didn't, and so that's the way that it goes. Here's my question to y'all. Since the Democratic National Convention, and we know that Joe Biden did one way in, one way out. He was gone. He was there on Monday. He was gone on Monday. He was there on Monday. He was gone on Monday. We ain't seen Joe. We don't know what Joe doing. Joe is allegedly on vacation, even though we got turmoil all across the board and all across the United States of America. All right, here's my question. Where is Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? Since the Democratic National Convention, right? She gave her speech on Thursday. We reviewed it on Friday. It's Tuesday. J.D. Vance pulled up on NBC. Trump is over there in Detroit. They everywhere. They all across America. Sometimes I don't know whether or not they on the West Coast or the East Coast. They just everywhere. They crisscrossing the country. They pulling up to the ops. They taking questions. They honoring troops. They having conversations. They getting endorsed. They met up with RFK and then they met up with Tulsi right after that and got both of their endorsements. Here's my question. Where the F is Kamala and Tim Walz right now? Ain't took a question, ain't met with a reporter, ain't had a conversation, just riding high. Listen, we did a good speech. I will give you that. Kamala Harris did an invigorating speech. Didn't have any substance, but it definitely resonated apparently with the voters. My question, where they at? Where they at though? Where are they at? And when are they going to take a question? It's the Biden basement strategy and it works. Where they at though? Where they at? Nobody can ever say that, again, that Trump has ever dodged any smoke from anybody, and J.D. Vance is the same. JD Vance like, what up though? What's going on? Where they at? Where they been at for the last 5 days?
You know, Tulsi, a mother of one of the slain troops spoke out against Kamala Harris today. Take a listen.
Vice President Harris is now running to be commander-in-chief. I wonder, do you have a message for her?
You are with the whole administration in all of this. You hold the same accountability as President Biden does. You were right beside him in making these decisions. This administration has tried to sweep it under the rug, and that's absolutely not going to work for this nation.
You know, Tulsi, your response to that?
You know, I want to know if Kamala Harris has personally called every one of these 13 families and the families of those who came home injured. There was a...
Nope, she only called the black families. The lady that recently got killed by the police officer over there near Chicago, because if it ain't a photo op, if it's not something that she can get visibility from, she's not going to participate in it. That's why they won't mention Laken Riley's name. Oh, y'all thought that I was going to let that go? That's why they're not going to mention Laken Riley's name. They're going to have a Central Park 5 over there at the campaign doing their little speeches at the Democratic National Convention. The Central Park 5, let me tell you something about the Central Park 5. Let me tell you why I don't care nothing about them. First of all, they some simps, especially the one that was talking to my homegirl Delicious. You know what I'm saying? He got finessed out of a bag. Secondly, they don't have the same smoke for the judges, for the prosecutors, for the people that actually put them in jail, but yet they want to have a conversation about something that they think that Trump said that was taken completely out of context. But they ain't got no smoke for any of the people that actually jailed him and locked him up and threw away the key. If it ain't a photo op, she ain't showing up. Ain't got no conversations about Laken Riley. Never been accountable for what's happening at the border. Never had no accountability for how they pulled out of Afghanistan. Nothing. Shout out to the Central Park Simps. That's what I call them. I call them the Central Park Simps. Shout out to the Central Park Simps. Oh, y'all don't like that part, huh? Y'all don't like that part. Y'all don't like, why? Because I can say what I want to say and I'm not owned by anybody, and so don't nobody tell me what to do. Shout out to the Central Park Simps. Out there hanging around, being step baby daddies, being step crash dummies, giving all of y'all money that y'all got in y'all lawsuit away to these chicks that's for the streets. Shout out to the Central Park Simps. Let me hear more what Tulsi got to say. We got to get into Mark Zuckerberg starting to expose the Harris-Biden campaign.
Triple amputee there today, there to honor the loss of his brothers and sisters. Has she called them to apologize for the decision that they made that resulted in this disastrous withdrawal and an explosion and an attack that took these 13 service members' lives that was completely preventable? Kamala Harris is completely unfit to serve as our commander-in-chief. Voters, regardless of whether you're Democrats or Republicans, need to know that truth, because that's really what this election is about, Judge. It's not about Democrats versus Republicans. Right. It's about having a president who stands for freedom, peace, and prosperity, which is Donald Trump, versus having a president in Kamala Harris who attacks our freedoms and censors us and uses political retaliation, who has pushed us to the brink of war, and who's created this economic hardship for Americans across the country. That's really the choice that we have before us. And for me, as a service member, as a veteran, it's a very clear choice. I love our country. I cherish peace and freedom, and I'm supporting Donald Trump in this election so that he can be our commander-in-chief once again. You know, it's interesting, Tulsi. CNN today tried to attack Trump for attending the wreath ceremony. Take a listen.
Is he politicizing these soldiers' deaths? Should he even be at Arlington National Cemetery if he's going to make some politics out of this?
I just look at President Biden, under whose leadership we actually ended and made the tough decision to end our nation's longest war. That was the right decision by President Biden.
You know, I guess the question, Tulsi, should have been, why wasn't Biden in attendance as well? But I want to ask you, just
shout out to Raymond Santana, the Central Park simp in the building, the biggest simp of them all. Let me show you. Let me show you what it's like. Hold on. I got to make sure that I help y'all realize what's happening. This was him. I got me a bad one, y'all. Hey, I called D. D, that's my homegirl. I done known D for a long time. She used to be here in Detroit all the time. I called D. I said, what's going on, girl? I said, we might have to have a conversation. Anton, I can't have no conversation on. Okay, cool. Don't worry about it. You got it, baby. Get your money. Get your money, baby. Get your Central Park simp and get it popping. We got to get that government money and bring that back to daddy. Daddy's home. Oh. Shout out to the Central Park Simps in the building. I appreciate you for continuing to contribute into Detroit's economy. Let me go ahead and read some of these.